It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Marks and Spencer, and it's a can of their American IPA. Coming in at 5.5% ABV in a 330 milliliter can. It's £1.80 a can, described as hoppy and bold, and brewed by Vocation Brewery. Without further ado then, let's get this can out into a glass and see what we get. A little bit of smoke on the can opening there. Beer in the glass. Important, if there's any sediment in the bottom of the can, to give it a whirl round and chuck it in your glass. In fact, if you take a look at the beer now, whilst everything's moving around, you can see that there is a lot of sediment rolling round in the bottom of this glass. But please, if you're new to beer, if you're new to craft beer, don't be alarmed by this. Don't be thinking that your beer's off and you need to throw it down the sink. There's no need for that whatsoever. This is not mass-produced beer. This is not mass-produced lager where you buy a 24 pack and, you know, everything's clear and crisp and looking lovely. This is a beer that you drink. It's not a beer that you necessarily really want to look at too much. And what I mean by that is a lot of these rather large companies, if you're moving over from these rather large companies, we all know who they are. And your beer is really is looking like golden amber glass, you know, it's looking perfect in the glass. Your eyes, I promise you this, your eyes have no taste buds. Your eyes have no taste buds whatsoever. All they're doing is producing something that looks very appealing. Craft beer, where am I going with this? I suppose for me, for a craft beer to look appealing, these days it looks hazy. When I see a hazy beer like this, the first thing that I do is go, ooh, this beer looks really good. When I see a clear beer, crystal clear, looking fantastic, I go, a bit. Because a lot of what makes this beer hazy but tasty is filtered out with these mass-produced brands, and it's all poured down the drain. So all of the flavour that you want from your beer has been thrown down the drain by the big breweries, just so you're looking at the beer thinking, that looks fantastic. So that's a look at the beer. Don't be alarmed by what it looks like. Let's get the aroma. And here's my point. This smells fantastic. It really does. Orange peel, fleshy blood orange, grapefruit. A spiciness, a pepperiness coming through. Lovely. Really lovely, really inviting. A little bit of sweetness there. Let's dive in. Cheers. Pineapple flavours coming through. A little bit of passion fruit, a little bit of mango. Vocation, they're really doing some great stuff. I think if you picked up something from your local bottle shop where you maybe paid £3 or £4 for a 330 milliliter can and compared it to this beer, I think there would be a point of difference. If you've been drinking craft beer for a while and you're comparing a £3 or £4 can of craft beer to a £1.80 can of American IPA, I think then you're going to notice a difference. There's no doubt about it. But for the price point, for what you get for £1.80, it's decent. It's decent beer. It's tasty. There's some pineapple flavours coming through, some orange peel, some fleshy blood orange. There's a little bit of spiciness and pepperiness and bitterness on the back end. There's a little bit of sweetness that comes through from the malt at the beginning of the beer. I think personally Vocation have done a terrific job of producing a relatively good American IPA for that £1.80 price point. It's drinkable, it's refreshing. It has everything that you really kind of expect for that price point. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the other beers that we've had just this morning. I've reviewed the whole range from Marks and Spencer's. If you want to see their Citrus Pale Ale or their Session IPA, all in these small 330ml cans. If you want to see the Citrus Pale Ale, what else have we do? The Helles Lager, the Session IPA. Have a look on YouTube. Find the videos. Have a look. But we're finishing here on the big boy, the 5.5% ABV American IPA. Now, I know technically some of you people out there will be going, you can't call an American IPA an American IPA if it's under 6% ABV. Yes, I know that. It's 5.5% ABV. But you know what? Again, for that price point, we're near as damn it. We are near as damn it. That is near enough 6% ABV for me. I've just hit the point in my beer drinking life now where I've drank enough beer to know what's good for what you pay for. I've been to bottle shops and I've paid £6 or £7 for a can of craft beer, and I've gone, oh, it was okay, you know, but I was expecting something like out of this world. It's probably the same as red wine. When people spend hundreds of pounds on a red wine, I bet there's red wines out there that cost £10 or £12 a bottle that can really rival that £100 bottle of red wine. Do you know why? Because at the end of the day, it's all made from red grapes. And there's only so much you can do with red grapes. Is a bottle of £100 red wine worth 10 times the amount of a £10 bottle of red wine, when ultimately it's all the same red grape ingredient? At least 90% of the ingredients of red wine, maybe even more, is grape. It might make a difference with the barrels they're stored in, the oak, but again, is it worth 10 times the price? And bringing this back to beer, bringing this very subject back to beer, I've had some stonking American IPAs that I've paid £6 or £7 a can of. But then again, I paid £1.80 for this, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not. I'm not disappointed in this beer at all. There's no moment where I've been sipping or drinking this beer where I've gone, this is not good enough for me. It's just not been there. But I have been there with supermarket beer. I have drank some Aldi beer, so-called craft beer, and some little so-called craft beer, which have just not been good enough. But this is where Marks and Spencer's are a really good quality supermarket, in that they've got that balance right. They know, the beer buyer knows that people are buying £6 or £7 cans of craft beer, and they know that by putting a beer out there that's relatively tasty, it's relatively hazy, it's got a good hop character, that maybe they could cream off some of that kind of £7 can of craft beer people. I think they will with this. It's a very respectable American IPA for the price point. I'm going to rate it. I really like that. I really like that. I was slightly nervous going into the beer review because I reviewed the rest of the range and the rest of the range was really good. Apart from the Helles Lager, which had sugar added to the beer. If Harbour Brewing Company, who brewed the Helles Lager, can take out that sugar aspect of the beer, then I think they've got a really good Helles Lager on their hands. But I went into this beer review being slightly nervous because it was the last one. It was the beer that most people will probably pick up from the Marks and Spencer's range, being an American IPA. And it's delivered. It's delivered. It really has. It really has. And I like it. I like it enough to give it, for the price point, a 9 out of 10. So 9 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.